Welcome to More with Mo. I'm your host, Monisha Gia, and tonight's hot topic, Google Glass. Joining us this evening, we have in from Rancho Cucamonga, Francisco Puente, tech expert and co-founder of a popular 3D printing website. Thank you, Francisco, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Also tonight, we have in from Wall Street, Michael Martinez, technology aficionado and financial strategist. Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thank you very much, Monisha. It's always a pleasure.
As we know, there are different forms of innovation. What incremental changes to existing products and services do you see the Google Glass facilitating?
So when it comes to the Google Glass, I think it's going to be a great product. This is going to encourage innovation, and it's going to be very useful in the workplace, in the office. But let's be completely honest about it. It is completely worthless in the outside world. Why would I want another fancy piece of tech when I already have my phone, when I'm ready, talking and being antisocial in my phone? Next thing I know, I have another, tech glass on my eye. What's next? Everybody in Thanksgiving dinner is going to be talking and taking Instagram pictures of the turkey. Let's face it, it makes us so much more antisocial where it's coming at the cost of our humanity.
That's a tricky thing there and a little bit of a scary thought, Michael. Thank you very much. Francisco, what's your take?
Well, Mike, while I agree with you that it's going to make us much more distant from one another just to add another piece of technology between us and the rest of the world, but you got to see the usefulness of it. I'm particularly excited about the video features, the fact that you can video call with someone while you're working at a site, doing whatever it is that you normally do for your job, and then you can actually have supervision, someone looking through your eyes, just having that connection with somebody, also being able to communicate with them. I think that's fantastic, and that's going to prove to be extremely useful.
Thank you, fellas. Interesting perspectives. So then Google Glass, in your eyes, no pun intended, will lead to what kind of radical innovations?
Radical innovations. That's interesting. I think that the Google Glass is a radical innovation. Just the sheer size of it, the seamless transition that it has with your body, the way it just attached to you that you can practically ignore it while you're wearing it. I think that is pretty radical in itself.
But can you really ignore it?
Can you?
I think that the Google Glass is a very interesting innovation. I think that it's up there with products that end up in the tech cemetery, with the Apple Newton, with the Apple QuickBook. They're innovations that, yes, are going to encourage further development of better products and services in the future. But currently, at $1,500 per glass, I just don't see it going mainstream. I don't see it.
I'm going to let Francisco jump in. I have a feeling he might have something to say.
Well, you know what, Michael? It sounds like you're being extremely pessimistic here. So I'm just going to have to put on my yellow hat just to liven things up a bit. So in terms of radical innovations entering the marketplace, I just think it's great. Once again, I'm going to touch back to communication. The ability to have someone with you, a professional in your ear, looking through your eyes while you're doing something while you have your hands free, unlike if you were holding a cell phone or sending someone a picture. This is instant. It's instant communication. You'll know exactly what you're doing should you need help or assistance, especially when it comes to the workforce. This may be very important for training when it comes to any sort of job, especially when there are certain emergencies, like an EMT responding to a person that's very ill or may have suffered an injury. To have a doctor there with you, using your hands, looking through your eyes, that seems like you couldn't have a better situation than that.
I do agree with what you have to say, Fran, but you gotta get a little bit more creative than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the green hat, and we're gonna talk about some creativity in terms of business plans here. So yeah, you can have some international traveling being done with this. You can have some language translation software, work between IT projects, work between projects and organization. That's all excellent. But you can also get very dystopian if you wanted to. You can have things like spying further on people's personal information. If I want to know what you're eating for breakfast, well, I'm going to go and check in the government's webcam, and I'm going to see that you're eating granola and cereal for breakfast. At the same time, I'm very concerned with cybersecurity and a lot of things I kind of like left out on the air. Do I see applications for this? Absolutely. I can see the military, law enforcement, and people like, for example, a surgeon needing something like this. But average Americans are just trying to kind of like put food on the table. They don't care about this. I don't think so.
Actually, a perfect segue here, Michael, since you just mentioned business models. What new business models do you see emerging now due to Google Glass?
Absolutely, Monisha. Actually, now I'm going to switch that to my passion and vendetta here because this is an area that I can actually see some innovation and interesting things coming up. So business models. We're talking about, this thing actually being able to create an environment that, it's very expensive piece of high-tech wear. So I can see, something like rent a glass, type of business model emerging out of this. Are they going to make money? Yeah, Google's definitely going to make money. So I'm going to go ahead and say you want to buy Google stock right now because they're going to make a filthy amount of money out of your data. They're going to data mine your personal data, your pictures, your videos, and they're going to be able to make tons of money out of that, and you're not going to see a single cent of it.
Yet another slightly scary proposition. Thank you. Francisco, your thoughts?
Mike, you're acting very paranoid as usual, fella. To speak more about business models and the different ones that may appear with the introduction of the glass into the marketplace, there's no denying the popularity of the app market right now. And with another new device like the Google Glass, I'm sure they're going to catch on very quick. Especially, speaking once again on this point, the hands-free capabilities that you have with the Google Glass as opposed to a cell phone or any other device. I think that for training, for security purposes, imagine if you wanted to have your nanny wear the Google Glass the entire time she took care of your baby daughter or son. Some people might find this very viable. I'm going to cut out baby daughter son. Some people might seek the pleasure in that security, as well as you're acting a little bit paranoid, Michael. I mean, Google has the ability to find this information about you regardless. Your cell phone's on you at all times. I don't know how you're going to search for anything on the internet without using your cell phone, some sort of mobile device, or even your laptop. So if they wanted this from you, they can have it already. I don't think the Google Glass is going to change anything in that spectrum.
I do agree with that point, Frank. That's a very good point. But you do also have to admit that it's a product that actually creates a need rather than filling a need in the market. That's it. Does anybody want another fancy piece of tech? No. The other reason why somebody would want to buy these things is because they want to have an added extra value of vanity and they're buying brand. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Okay, so would it be safe to say that you see Google Glass as a bit disruptive in the sense where it's not just altering the current market, but creating an entirely new one, which, let's say, maybe could change, create new business models whereby people that now can't afford the $1,500 glass will soon be able to buy them for $15, creating a whole new set of problems or a whole new business model environment. What do you say, fellas?
Well, as for the Google Glass, it's a very impressive piece of technology. It will be a little while before there'll be imitators out there, but keep in mind that there will be imitators of all levels. I'm sure that they're going to have some that are of a higher quality than the glass, maybe better cameras, maybe better battery power, yes, functionality. But you're also going to see ones that are a lot more simpler. Maybe ones tend to be bulkier, not as attractive. Also, I can see a lot of uses for this for helping people such as the blind, being able to have someone else be their eyes for them while they're doing certain tasks. That could be potentially funded by insurance companies or nonprofits, let's say. So I'm pretty sure that similar technology to the Google Glass in terms of communications and wearability of it will be imitated, and there will be some disruption in the marketplace.
Thank you. And is it safe to say then that Mr. Martinez, you aren't so excited about the notion of having a bunch of glass holes walking around?
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind the glass at all, but I do think that it looks like a very, unattractive piece of high tech. I think that the design is hideous. Maybe you redesign this and trim it down, and you have something a little bit more simpler, more minimalistic. Then you can actually have something that can just attach to my regular sunglasses, to my regular eyeglasses. Then I can actually see it is being picked up by mainstream consumers.
Francisco touched on the many vital ways that the Google Glass can improve with emergency and training situations, all increasingly valid in our current world. Now, while I appreciate their opinions, in this host's opinion, I think that Google Glass needs a lot of work, especially in the area of design, and even more so in the consideration of intellectual property and most especially privacy concerns. Well, I thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time on More with Mo.